Hi there, you're very welcome to this video about Pure at IADT. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can capture your research impact using Pure. But first, you need to log in using the link beneath this video. It's also available on an internet guide to Pure on Orchard. There's also details of how you can obtain support if you have any queries. Please don't hesitate to reach out. You can log in using your institutional login credentials. So, for example, the login details that you use for your email will also get you into Pure. Once inside, you'll see that there is an engagement dashboard in the back end of Pure. This is private to you. I have another video on how you analyze this. You'll see in the top right-hand corner there are citations, for example. These kind of engagement statistics we keep to the back end of Pure for you to view privately. Citations don't give a very holistic or representative sample or idea of impact. Some disciplines don't attract citations, and we don't want to encourage a competitive quantitative research metric culture at IADT. So instead, if you go to add content, there are two very simple ways to capture your impact in a far more holistic way. So if you go to research output, on research outputs, and not on activities, by the way, just on research outputs, you'll see all the research outputs there. So whether you're adding a film under audiovisual, a book, conference poster, you have the opportunity to add a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. So for example, I can go into journal article, there are literature reviews, etc. Perhaps I've written an article about gender and pay, or gender in contemporary art, and I fill out the details of that article, the abstract, the title, the volume, etc. The journal details include the link, and you'll notice that when you get to the bottom, you can add some keywords, a subject heading, for example, visual and performing art. If I just show you what that one is like, you can add a subject heading. So I could put in visual and performing arts, etc. But in terms of impact, the most valuable facility or function there is actually the UN Sustainable Development Goal. So if you've written something about pay and gender or gender in contemporary art, you can see all 17 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals there. I can just go and select gender equality, for example, and that is tagged to that research article. I just press save. Remember that research articles don't appear in your profile straight away. The research systems officer does check the details and validates the article for you. This is the same for all research outputs. All other additions to Pure will pop up on your profile immediately. We just check details, for example, journal article details such as volume and part and page number, because it is an official academic record, just to make sure that all the details have been correctly added. And but you can see I've now captured how I'm contributing to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the societal impact of my research. Now, if you want to see what that looks like from the front end of Pure, from your profile, I can just pop out to my public profile here. And I can go down to up, should I say, rather than down. Well, they are also at the bottom as well. You can see my articles pop up there as well. But let's say I go into my research articles, and I'll show you some of the Sustainable Development Goals that I've used. And so let me go up a particular article there. If I look at something like universal design, and you can see when you click into it that I've tagged it with quality education. That's a record that I've just added today. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to actually add another SDG, which is reducing inequalities. And those tags appear there. So when people are reading your work, they can see how your work contributes to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, if I go back to the home page in Pure, you'll see that there is this SDG widget, and there you can see collectively how all the researchers on Pure staff, support staff, academics, etc., are contributing to any of these Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable development goals can be added to your profile when you're creating your bio and setting up your peer profile. They can be added to funded projects, and they can also be added to research outputs. So when you click on, for example, gender equality, you can see there are 11 profiles there of faculty who are particularly interested in this area. And that's because they tagged that on their profile. I can show you that in a moment. And if I go back again into gender equality, there's a project comes up there. Now, we've only recently installed this plugin for the Sustainable Development Goals. Many more projects and articles will be appearing as we continue the tagging process. And you can see there's Feminist Art Making Histories. That's a project led by the head of research here at IEDT. And then again, I can go back into gender equality, and I can see what research outputs are there so far. We're just going through the tagging process at the moment, and you can see all the different aspects of gender equality that various staff members and also research students, by the way, research students are also eligible to be on Pure postgraduate research students. And you can see that we have graphic design, gender and pedagogy, comics and gender, pay transparency, the missing mother, that's about, the mother in art, etc. The lived experience of women with ADHD, and just so much rich research showing the impact of our staff at IEDT in terms of their scholarly activity and their research, the impact of that on society. And you can see there is gender and political representation, etc. And you can go in and you can have a look at any of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and see what is happening with those. So I'm just going to go back to my profile. And I'm going to go into the back end of my profile. Oh, switch user. And let me just show you how you can also add a tag to your profiles. So I just showed you how you add a tag to your research output there. But you can also add a sustainable development goal to your profile. So if you go to the top right-hand corner and edit profile, and if you scroll down, you'll see at the very end, there is an option to add sustainable development goal. Now, I've already added quality education, and I'm also going to add reducing inequalities because I'm very interested in open access publishing, which provides more democratic access to information for society. So I've added that there, and I'm going to press save. So you can add a sustainable development goal to your profile, demonstrating your commitment to, a particular societal or issue or challenge. You can add it to a research output. You can also add it to funded projects. Now, presently, the Research Systems Officer is adding funded projects for staff and for students. So if you want a sustainable development goal added to anything, or you want to add a project, please do reach out. We are about to launch the award management module imminently. So very shortly, staff will be able to add their own funded projects and track the milestones of that project and add a sustainable development goal as well. So do keep an eye out on the intranet for information about that. So I want to show you another really useful way to add impact. If you click on add content, go down to impact, you can add a simple qualitative statement. I'll just do that for you again. So remember, you're in the back end dashboard, click add content. We use research output there the last time, but you can also come down here and you can add impact. Now, you can write a qualitative statement. So you can give it a title of your choosing, and perhaps you want to write an impact statement about a project that you have on Pure, a paper, a conference paper, an event that you organize that is also captured on Pure. And you can write a title, you could write a paragraph or two about the event, the different speakers it brought together, what was the impact of this event, did it strengthen dialogue, will it enhance pedagogy, etc. And you can add a category of impact. And if I select that, you'll see this drop-down menu, and I might click technological impact or cultural impact or health, etc., or quality of life. And then you scroll down. You can add a link to the project or the event. And you can also link your impact statement to the original project. So if I went into projects and I went to something like the Feminist Art Making History project that the head of research is leading, I have linked that impact statement that she would be writing on that to this project that she is leading. And often people write the impact statements when the project has reached its conclusion, so that they have captured the impact, and it's linked then to that project. When people read the impact statement, they can then click into the original project. You can also link it to a paper or research outputs, etc. So this is a really useful feature. Something that it's really useful for as well is for narrative CVs, which a lot of research funders look for, in which you explore the impact of your work. So you can include links to your impact statements, etc. So it's really, really useful for that. And again, it's such a simple concept. You click add content, click impact, fill out your statement. It doesn't have to be terribly long. Link it to the initiative that you're writing the impact about, or the paper or project, and click save. And that will not go to the research systems officer to be validated. That will immediately pop up on your profile. And that is how you can very easily and simply, and in a way that is not competitive with other researchers, capture your research impact. And it's very, very powerful. And these statements and these tags build up. And it really does show how you can make a difference through conference posters, papers that you've published, short films that you've produced, etc. And it is really very impressive to see how this accumulates at an institutional as well as an individual level, the impact that research at IADT is having societally and beyond. So thank you for listening. And again, support details are available on the Pure Internet Guide. Please do reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for listening.